I guess on my hair, she look alright. And with that actually sitting there like this creams, and I had to have them, sis. All 5 of them. Here, I just had, we're gonna discontinue it, but I had to pick up their book of shadows, honey. Color grade makes cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Wow, so serious. What's up, you guys? Welcome to the channel. It's Torrence here, and today I want to tell you all we are turning up with Adept Cosmetics. If you all do not know, my favorite purples on the market belongs to Adept Cosmetics. My favorite shimmers of all time, I'm gonna say, are still Pat McGrath, but every time I try a new Adept palette, it seems like they just coming in and they're just snatching titles all over the place. If you want to see my first impressions on that Anhydra palette, I'll leave that link right here above. But today, we are getting into the Plain Jane Remastered, honey. When I tell you, the packaging, the color story, she absolutely beautiful. She is an all shimmer palette, and as you can see, because she has that glare, she will, you know, make the room look a little dark, but I did not want to take this plastic off. But I'm telling you, we have, I believe, 4 multi-chromes. 3 of them are just plain multi-chromes. 1 is a multi-chrome topper. We have 2 shimmers and 6 sheer dual chromes. All shimmer palette, honey. So, for most people, you may want to go ahead and bring in your mattes, but because I wanted to give you all a true first impressions, I wanted to make sure I stuck to using only this palette on the eyes. And this here is the look that we came up with. I have a mixture of multi-chromes, sheer dual chromes, and multi-chrome toppers. No mattes whatsoever on this eye look. I wanted to make sure if you grab this palette, you can recreate this exact look. But later on, I am going to show you comparison swatches of the remastered versus the original so that you know if for any reason you have this palette, do you need this one? But before we get into this tutorial, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also give this video a thumbs up if you like tutorials or you want to see more content from Adept Cosmetics. But before we get started, we got to go ahead and show you these swatches. First off, you all, let's get into this packaging. When I tell you it is very beautiful but very reflective, you'll notice because it still has the packaging on it, honey. I am not taking that plastic off because I do not want to mess it up. But if I turn it, it'll produce a glare and instantly it'll make it seem like the room is dark. But like if I try to show you like this, you notice how the room instantly looks darker. But I just wanted to show you that from different lights, this is a nice pink chrome-like finish. I believe this is synthetic, so this is vegan and cruelty-free, but the magic is on the inside. On the inside, we have 12 shades here. Once again, they even have wrapping on the inside. And if I try to show you the colors from different angles, it will produce a slight glare, but I want to be able to see if I can give you a view of those multi-chromes. But I believe the best view you're going to get is with the actual swatches. But I did want to show you that on the inside, it's about the same color, but it has a slight more silver tone to it. But I want to make sure I can get it back into real life view where you can see what these colors will just look like in plain indoor lighting. All 12 shades in this palette I do believe to be shimmers. And here is a close-up view of those swatches. These shades are absolutely beautiful. And I think the one that shines the most is that the multi-chrome on the absolute end. She is gorgeous. Most of these shades do appear to be either sheer toppers or just shimmers, but the multi-chromes in here are fabulous. Alright, you guys, it is time to get started in this. As with all tutorials, all tools and products used will be in the description bar below. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Honey, we are playing with the Plain Jane Remastered, and I keep trying to tell myself I'm not going to take this plastic off because it's, you know, protecting it. The thing is, it is slightly shifting right here, and it's a little bubble that I'm trying to keep from coming through. But it looked like this palette may go ahead and have to come off, but today ain't going to be the day. What I'm interested in and getting into is these beautiful shades here. When I tell y'all that Anhydrous palette from Adept Cosmetics, I'll leave that link right here above, has become my new favorite purples. And I ain't gonna lie, looking at this palette, you do see some purples. The thing is, the variety in here is, I believe, mostly sheer duochrome toppers. We have 3 multi-chromes, shade 1, shade 2, and shade 12. We have a multi-chrome topper, which is shade 10, and we have 2 plain shimmers, shade 3 and 4. The other 6 are, I believe, sheer duochrome toppers. So shades 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. With most people, they would usually pull out an additional palette, start things off with mattes and a crease, and normally I'm the same way. The thing is, with first impressions, I really try to stick to just using this palette if possible, and I'm somebody who doesn't have an issue with doing an all shimmer look. I know I got hooded eyes, I know that this will probably look better with some mattes, but I've been flapping my chaps long enough. I want to go ahead and get into this because ain't no point in lying. The one shade I'm looking forward to using is this multi-chrome right here on the end. I got to put her on the lids. I don't know how we're going to incorporate it. What we're going to do is grab our fluffiest blending brush, and for a transition shade, we're going to use ACI 5 right here, and we're going to take that throughout our entire crease area. I know she shimmer, but we're going to see what she brings. Alright, so I've picked up some product, but because this is a shimmer shade, I truly do expect fallout, flyaways, things like that, because mattes tend to work better with larger, fluffier brushes, but we ain't gonna let that stop us. But go ahead and get started and see what she's giving us. Okay. And honestly, she's giving me more pigmentation than what I was expecting when I first went in. Of course, because she is a shimmer, the edges don't start off initially as smooth and as blended as I want them to be. So what we're going to do is start off with our brush rather low in the crease. And as you notice that you have less product on the brush, you'll start to slightly lift it up and diffuse those edges. And I'm here to tell you, honey, shimmer or not, that just blended beautifully. I'm trying to see if you can catch it, but you could tell that is a duochrome in person. It appears to be shifting from pink to green. I'm not sure if it's giving you everything in person that I'm getting. I'm not sure if it's giving you everything on camera that I'm getting in person, but I'm loving her. And I honestly don't even feel the need to go in with a second layer. I just want to lift my brush just slightly and diffuse those edges. Oh yeah, she pretty, and she gonna add a little more depth and dimension when we come back. Honey, when I tell you that one shade is giving me like an iridescent fairy vibe, I think now that I've done both eyes and I'm staring right directly in front of the camera, you can see that pink hue that it's creating here, and it's slightly more green on the outer ends. Just that by itself is coming off as a beautiful highlight. But I need depth and dimension in my crease, honey. I have hooded eyes. So in order to get the absolute most out of our shades, what I want to do is go into one of these 2 normal shimmer shades because they would probably have the most opacity. And I'm going to use this shade here, ACI 4, to deepen up my crease. This shade here has a little pink to it, and I believe that purple will be very complementary. And I can already let you know, with this normal shimmer shade, it picks up a lot easier on the brush than that sheer duochrome topper. It also appears to have a much more even color on the brush. So I'm hoping this gives us more pigmentation for the crease. And once again, we're going to start on the outer end, start very low, and work our way toward the center. And I can already see this is definitely giving me more pigmentation. She's not a full-blown dark matte purple. This color is much more mid-tone in the pan, so of course it was going to be much more mid-tone on the eye. And she's not as sheer, you can tell that. But what I do believe is I'm going to need a second layer of this just to build up opacity. Normally building up isn't an issue for me. And on the second layer, we're going to start rather low in the crease and slightly work our brush up to diffuse any harsh lines. And baby, I can hear so many people in the comment section like, oh no sis, what is you doing? You talk about all shimmer looks? Oh, we don't play that game over here. And now you can see how on this side, the crease definitely looks deeper. It looks deeper in person as well as on camera. I think just to help give me a little more dimension, I'm going to pick up a little more product on one side of the brush and press that right into the outer V. Once again, you are going to get slight fallout, but this is expected with large fluffy brushes and shimmer shades. Look at that. Nice and pretty. Be right back. And just to see if this shade will give me a little more depth in my crease, I want to go to this first shade here, ACI 1. This is a multi-chrome, but I'm hoping that that black base helps deepen up my crease to give me more depth and dimension for our shimmer shades on the lids later. Honey, I am hoping and praying that this works because this shade was even smoother than the rest. To know multi-chromes give you the most colors for the bang for your buck, and I'm looking at it, it looks like it has a dark base as you can see. So come on y'all, pray with me. Please deepen up this crease so that we can have a phenomenal look. We're gonna go ahead, start on the outer end, real low. Baby, I think she gonna do it. Yes, ma'am, I can see that that is deepening up my crease. Yes, 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 I needed that. It's not giving me full opacity because this is a tiny brush. And I wanted to make sure I could go back in and build and layer later. So we're going to probably do 3 small layers of this because I don't want this color to truly take over. But I need this fold right here in my crease to be a little darker than the rest because, honey, I have hooded eyes and I like dimension. We're just going to diffuse the edges of those lines like so. And that way, even though that has a black base to it, it doesn't come off looking black on the eye, honey. We're going to build up our outer V. We don't want to cover up that first shade. We want this on the very most outer point, and you still want to see it blend into that original purple. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more to the outer half of the eye. I really want this outer half to be darker than that inner half. Okay, and I think you can see that in person. This side does have a little more depth and dimension. But like I said, once you get to building and blending it out, that black base does not come off quite as strong as I would have truly hoped for. But considering she's not a matte and she still gives dimension, we're going to sit back and love her. Alright you guys, you already know, it's time to cut our crease. Honey, I love my NYX glitter adhesive. She's beautiful, she's affordable, and to make sure my shimmers is going to be on point, we got to go in first. So, I'm not really worried about it being identical, but I do want to make sure I am covered. So we're going to grab my Morphe M421 and just go ahead and cut right here in the front. I want to take this hot, but I do not want to remove my extra outer V right here. Did I say extra? I don't want to put too much product down and get it on the outer V. Not sure exactly what I want to put on my eyes. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But because I ain't wore no blue yet, we're gonna go ahead and put ACI 8 on the inner half of our lids, and then we have to take ACI 12 and put that on the outer half. This shade here is the shade that's been exciting me the most, so I have to put that on my lids. Alright, we're going to put this on, but I do have to remind myself that this is a sheer dual chrome topper, so she's not going to be opaque, but I just wanted to see what some blue looks like, just to make sure I try different colors. And I believe this blue will match my shirt a bit. And I ain't gonna lie, you see, I have that blue down, and she is a beautiful. The thing is, I'm trying to save as much color as I possibly can for that ACI 12. That multi-chrome right there is going to be it. And yeah, she layers, she builds, and she shines like no other. Wait till we get to that next shade. Honey, I'm just going to tell y'all. ACI 12 is sitting on this brush, and I'm just whirling it back and forth just to see that color. I am so excited. So let's go ahead and just get her on. We're going to cover the rest of our lids with this shade. Woo. Honey, I'm not sure if the camera is giving this shade justice, but when I tell you, I can see this purple to green, and it looked like maybe a gold shift coming through with it. Baby, let me just pick up a little bit more and do one more quick. Oh, baby. I'm trying to see if y'all can get that on camera. That purple to green is a beautiful. You got this dual chrome in the front, this multi-chrome near the back. I'm telling y'all, the camera cannot be showing y'all how beautiful this is. I'm going to come back later on and see if it's showing y'all that green flip, but I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side first. Alright you guys, so far this appears to be all that we're going to do on the upper half of our lids. I'm going to go ahead, cut away, finish off the face, and when I come back, I'm going to show you how we're going to finish off the lower lash line. Alright you guys, we are back, and so far I am loving things. The one thing I did have to remind myself is Torrence, keep it simple. This eye look with multi-chromes is already going to be over the top, but I'm telling you, I skipped blush because I wanted to put on a very vibrant pink blush, and I'm like, that's going to compete. Same thing with the lips. I wanted to put on the same purple eyeliner that I'm wearing. I wanted to put that on, sparkly gloss. No. Let the eyes be the focus point. So, I'll make sure, once again, I'll leave all products and tools in the description bar below. But off camera, for the lower lash line, we are wearing the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Psychedelic Sister. She's my favorite purple. I figured black would be just a little too dark, too dramatic, and I wanted something to help complement those multi-chromes. So I do have that on. For mascara, it's my favorite combo here. The Lancome Sales Booster Mascara Primer, as well as the Monsieur Big Mascara. Have a sample size of this I want to get rid of. I'm gonna have to grab that mascara later, because honey, we can't grab it now. But Holy Grail Duo, we're going to be using that. For lips, I wanted to keep things as basic as possible. So for a lip liner, I am wearing the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in shade BFF3. Just a basic brown. I lined my lips and partially filled them in. The center half I left bare, but didn't use a pencil to buff it out. Just to top this off, because I did not want to do anything extra, I went in with matte clear lip gloss. Just squirt some on the finger, dotted it across. When I tell you all, the matte clear lip gloss creates a shine like no others. I may not necessarily collect these the way I do, which ones? My Fenty Beauty and my, Pat McGrath's. But as far as I'm concerned, this may be the best clear lip gloss on the market. I love her. I never run out of her, as you can see. Half a tube, and all I did was take a little bit, put that on there, and when I tell you, the smallest amounts bring you the most shine. Like, those lips are popping. I wanted to go in with a pink highlighter on the face, but I'm like, I don't want nothing competing. Just got on our plain MAC Oh Darling, but it's time to get back into these eyes, because hunty, it ain't much more left to do. We technically only have to do our lower lash line and our inner corner highlights. And I'm sitting back like, Torrence, I'm not sure how dramatic this is going to be. So, we're going to go ahead, grab our pencil brush. And I think we're going to just repeat on the lower end what we did on the top. But I don't got time to be going through all of that. So what I want to do is, instead of going in with all those shades that I did on the upper half, I want to try to keep this simple. And so we're going to take ACI 4 and a large pencil brush, and we're going to use that to smoke out our lower lash line. Then, to give ourselves a little more depth and dimension, we're going to go in with ACI 1 And I may take that in with a smaller pencil brush. If I feel as if that's giving me too much product, I'll go in with a push liner brush. Now, one thing I am worried about is fallout now that my face makeup is done, so we're gonna try to tap some of that off. We may not be able to avoid it, but we can try our best to minimize it. And we're gonna start smoking this off along the outer lash line. And I want to work this rather slow. I am seeing that color come through, which is beautiful. But because I am knocking off excess product, because I don't want those sparkles everywhere, this will take a little more time than it did on the top. But you can definitely see her there. We want to connect this to the outer end. And once I have my product down, then I don't mind going in a buffing motion. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to show off on camera, but in person it is giving you the most subtle purple glow from the lower lash line. I'm just glad it's not so deep and dark that it looks like a bruise right there. And I'm actually surprised at how well the sparkles are holding back. I think you can see the slightest difference underneath this eye, but I'm telling you, right here, I don't have any falling glitter or anything, so I'm loving that. We'll be right back. All right, for our darker shade, once again, we're going to tap off our brush. We're going to go in from the outer half and try to get this as close as possible. And baby, with this brush, you can see just how much more pigmented that next shade is, ACI1. And with the small pencil brush, it's honestly leaving more of those sparkles behind. With the large fluffy blending brush, it was knocking most of those sparkles out and leaving more of that base coat. But baby, she is very pretty with this pencil brush. But then again, it's hard to make an ugly multi-chrome. Alrighty, honey, look at her. We have our lower lash line going. The only thing left to do is highlight our inner corner and brows. Now it's time for ACI 10, the only multi-chrome topper in this palette. I believe it is the lightest shade in here, so I'm going to go ahead and use this to highlight my inner corner as well as my brow bone. When I tell you this shade is so beautiful. In the pan, you can clearly see that pink. On the brush, I can clearly see the green. So we're going to go ahead and see what color she's going to give us when we put her right here. Baby, and that pink is really popping when you first put it down. It's not until you turn your head that you start to see the shift of colors, but oh yes, this is making a very beautiful inner corner highlight. We're going to pop her right there on the other side. And y'all know I like my inner corner highlight to be over the top and dramatic. And we're going to take whatever's left and hit the highest arch of the brows and then smooth that out from there. May even have to go in with a clean brush and diffuse that, but you know what? Maybe not, because I like a little drama. Trying to see if you all can catch that slight green shift that it's producing. Oh yeah, there it goes. You can see it when I turn my head like that, how that green is starting to come through under the brows. When I'm looking straight forward, she a little more pink. That inner corner, baby, look at her. Honey, I don't see what else is left to do but to go ahead and set everything, so make sure you grab your sprays because you know I'm about to grab mine. Fix Plus to give us a glowy do. All-nighter so things can last all day. Cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. I'm going to give this a few more seconds to dry and I'll be back to give you all my final thoughts. And this is the final look. I want to go ahead and give you all a full face view of things before I give you all my final thoughts. And I'm here to tell you, honey, Adept Cosmetics has done it again. First off, let's get into the fact that when I first put this on, I kept telling myself, this is so much more prettier in person than it is on camera. After I've gone ahead and sprayed everything, I'm telling you, it seems as if these shadows have been foiled because they are giving off much more light than before. And I'm seeing that on camera. I'm looking at it like, oh yeah, baby, she's beaming. I think we put on what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different shades. And it's crazy because as you just slowly rotate your head, because they're all shimmers, you don't see that line of demarcation where sometimes when you do a cut crease, a lot of times you see specifically where one shadow starts and one shadow ends. These are all shimmers because they all have some type of multi-chrome or dual chrome effect. It just seems like one area has one color and then it just gradiates into another. We have this pink to green, then this blue, then this purple to green, then this pink to green up here. Like, it seems like no matter which angle you come at, honey, you are always going to get something special, something different, and something new. And I am absolutely loving it. The pros and cons, because you know, it's very, very, very rare that something in the makeup world comes up as absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to say is, do I recommend this palette? Yes. If you were someone who has the original Plain Jane palette and you are truly happy with that palette, do you need to repurchase for the Remastered? I'm going to go ahead and say no. And before I tell you why, I want you to go ahead and check out of these comparison swatches here. I'm going to have the Remastered on the top and the original Plain Jane on the bottom. In here we have swatches of the Plain Jane Remastered on top versus the Plain Jane Original on the bottom. I'm not sure if the camera is showing you all, but on the bottom, the shadows are a bit more, well, I'm not going to say a bit, they're a lot more sheer with reflective particles. On the top, it seems like the base shadow itself has much more pigment and you can't see the skin quite as easily as you can on the top as you can on the bottom. I want to go ahead and come a little closer and show you how, like with those shades there on the bottom, a lot more of my skin peeks through because it's like a sheer base with reflective particles versus those on the top where the skin isn't seen quite as easily because the base pigment is much more stronger. And although you can tell all shades are not the same, most of the shades have been kept around the same color. It just seems to me as if things have been truly intensified. Okay, and with that, you all can see most of these shades here, I wouldn't say are identical, but it really does appear that they tried to keep the same color story when they went ahead and remastered this palette. Want to see if I can pull this up and give you all a view of both palettes side by side. Although you can look at these and tell they are not exact identical shades, most of these shades are very comparable. With the new remastered palette, they did reformulate everything. So with this top palette here, the pan sizes are a little smaller, but what I've come to believe is that they've made these shades much more opaque than the original. The original palette, they were much more sheer based with sparkles. To me, it seems like they have much more refined sparkles and much more opacity. And with that being said, basically, if you missed out on the original palette, I truly believe you would be happy and satisfied with this remastered version. I'm someone who has both and will honestly continue to use both. How can I put it? As someone who does content, I'm a YouTuber. To me, getting swatches was easier with this palette because the pan sizes are a lot larger, so getting your finger right there to swirl it around was a lot easier. But the packaging on this one to me is much more modern. The pan sizes in here gave me no issues with swatching, but I just truly believe the general public will like this palette more than the original. But those of us who have the original, you can't pry our hands off of it because there is a difference. If you were to wear two of the shades side by side, I think you would notice one's more sparkly, one's more opaque. Let me double check and see. With ACI 10 here, this is the multi-chrome topper shade. I have that as my inner corner. With ACI 12, that is just a plain multi-chrome that I have here, and you notice the way that those colors change when, watch this, let me see. When this is closed and we have one area of light here, the shadows look one way. But because this produces a glare, when I put this up here, instantly the room appears darker, but those shadows appear even brighter, honey. That's a glare that you can't fix. Until I take this plastic off, it's going to continue to do that. But I wanted you all to just go ahead and see that. I done lost track of my thought. ACI 10 and ACI 12. When the palette first came out, this is what those two look like. This shade here, this shade here. Before they came out with a fully reformulated and remastered palette, they only redid these two shades, and I ended up repurchasing those. ACI 10 was this replacement shade here. As you can see, that went from a sheer pink color to something that looks almost blue. And then ACI 12 here went from a shade that looks very pink to a multi-chrome shade here that went from like a pinky purple to green shift. And I wanted to go ahead and show you all what those look like. On the left side, it's going to be ACI 10. On the right side, it's going to be ACI 12. So I want you to check those out. On the left side, we have ACI 10. Left to right, we have the original swatch, the replacement swatch, and then finally the remastered. What I can say first about the left side is it seems like when they went for the replacement, they went for something that was a totally different color. It has much more blue to it. And then finally, when they came back for the remastered, it appears they went back for the original shade and just gave us a bit more pigment. With ACI 12, it's a bit different. They started off with one shade. It appears they switched over to a multi-chrome. And then for the remastered, it appears that they did stick with the multi-chrome. But if I'm just being honest with you, even you all can see there, the pigmentation on that replacement shade was much better, and I'm trying my hardest to see if I can get that flip for you and you all can see. That swatch is all the way down, but the flip and the pigmentation on those replacement shades were absolutely fabulous. So if I personally had to choose just for those two, I like the replacement shades. And as you can see with those first swatches are nice, they are beautiful, had no issues with them. When they reformulated, it seems as if the colors changed, and then when they remastered, it appears with ACI 10, they went back with their original color. With ACI 12, they decided to stick with the new multi-chrome, but I'm going to be honest with you. As far as ACI 10 goes, I genuinely prefer this newer formula. She's beautiful, she's a multi-chrome topper, she's fabulous. But ACI 12, she ain't no joke. She's absolutely stunning. You see her there, she's beautiful. But it was something special about that replacement shade from the original that has made this my favorite multi-chrome. This one here is the replacement for the original plain Jane ACI 12. I believe it's sold out right now. It comes back and forth in stock, but I believe they initially named it Con. She fabulous, I'm telling you. You all have seen these swatches. You see that this color story is beautiful. Because I did all shimmers, this look is this dramatic, but I promise you, if you all want to see me recreate another look using my own personal mattes from my own collection, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not afraid of all shimmers, but somebody with hooded eyes, I really love my shimmers in the crease, but I'm sitting back looking at this like, I'm about to head to physical therapy feeling like I am that girl, honey. Ain't no point in lying. So we're going to go ahead in this video here. I know I done got, lost in my track of thoughts, but basically all I'm trying to say is, do I recommend this palette? Yes. Do you need it if you have the original plain Jane? No. I'm going to say wait until this palette is long gone, you hit pan, or you just, it's gone expired or something, before you go ahead out and get this. But if you missed the original plain Jane, I truly do recommend you get the remastered palette. And with nothing else, I'm going to say we can go ahead and end this video here. Oh, almost forgot the biggest part, honey. Make sure if you all do purchase this, you do look for a coupon code. They do have 10% off sales even on new launches. I do not have a discount code or affiliate code. I used Heather Austin's code. I'll make sure I leave her video linked right here above because it was her video that convinced me, even though I had the original plain Jane, to go ahead and get this remastered version. But I've been talking long enough. I got to go ahead and get on up out of here so I can head to therapy. But I hope you all truly enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're also subscribed because we passed the 700 mark. I want to say thank you all for that. We're trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. But with nothing else, I hope you all remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye, YouTube.